UFC Bantamweight contender Cory Sandhagen. Thank you, Cory, for coming back on the show. How's life in Colorado?
Life is good. Weather's nice still. So a lot of outdoor stuff, and the quarantine isn't too bad anymore. We can kind of go to restaurants and stuff. So yeah, it's all good.
All right, now I've been watching some of the interviews that you've been doing since your last fight, and you talked about heading into that fight being in the right headspace. Could you elaborate more on that? Is it more in simple terms like being able to flip the switch at the right moment? Is that what it is?
It could be viewed like that. So in sports psychology, I forget exactly what the word is called, but it's there's an arousal continuum, and it's like a bell-shaped curve. So if you're not intense enough, you're not going to perform that great. If you're too intense, you're also not going to perform that great. When you're in the middle, that's when you do the best, and everyone's middle is different. Um, in that last fight, I made the experience mistake of, among other mistakes, but I made the experience mistake of not putting myself in a headspace because I thought that me being as calm, because that usually isn't the case. Like, usually it's like I'm on the way far right side of things, so I need to bring myself down a little bit. But in this circumstance, I associated with being really calm as a really good thing, so I didn't even really try to change it. It wasn't necessarily a thing of like flipping the switch. It was more of I didn't realize that I needed to flip the switch because I thought that the switch being down was a good thing. Like those are kind of lessons that like you learn in a hard way, and there's really no other way to learn a lesson like that other than going through that process, and that's kind of what happened.
To address it, did you go talk to somebody about it, or is it just something you can do on your own?
I mean, I've been working with a sports psychologist, Joey Fritz, for about probably about like 3 years. But like I said, man, it's interesting. I mean, we have been working on it since then, definitely with different exercises before sparring and kind of like different visualization drills and things like that. But like I said, man, it was a problem that like usually wasn't a problem. Where it's like usually I need to tone myself down. I need to get myself a little bit more in the present moment and a little bit less intense in my mind. And this time it wasn't that way. And like I said, like I thought that, oh, like, hey, this is awesome. I don't need to do the things that I go over with my sports psychologist because I'm already at a really nice level of calmness. And then I realized that that was a little bit too low for me. So, like I said, like everyone's middle is different, and I just had to, I think that that's probably going to be something that will always, like swing left and right all the time, and that's the way that it is.
Yeah, I think, everybody at that level is just so highly skilled, like yourself, and yeah, that aspect that comes into play, the mind, I mean, it's just incredible how the mind can control so many things.
Yeah, I mean, especially in a sport where you only get 2 or 3 fights a year. So you have to show up on the night, and everything has to be firing on that night, and sometimes it doesn't, and that's the way that it goes. Like we live in like a really results based world, but and I wanted to beat myself up about that fight more than I think was needed. Like I wanted it to be like, oh, I really suck at defending the back, or oh, I'm really bad at defending chokes, or oh, my wrestling needs to be better. Like I really wanted to beat myself up about those things because those are a little bit easier and more tangible things that I can actually work on. Where it was like all of those technical mistakes that I feel like I made were because I was in the wrong headspace, and that's as simple as it is. And it's like I didn't think to change it in that moment, and it even kind of crossed my mind where it was like, man, I feel like I should be a little bit more up now, but I thought it was a good thing, and I just made that mistake. And that's how it
Mm,
goes.
exactly. And it just shows you like a fighter, a legend like GSP, I mean, to be able to go that long and be at that level for, every single fight, it's pretty insane.
Sure. I like to think that people like that kind of figured it out before they got to there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I'm grateful that I learned that about myself before I became champ, which I believe will still happen. Um, I think I don't know, man. It's difficult, you know. Like you look at Khabib's and stuff, and I think that the best guys and the guys that reign as champ for a really long time, those types of guys, those are the guys that still won, but also were like, this part wasn't right. Like I didn't do as good as I thought, and that's what I mean. Also by the results based world that we kind of live in is like if you don't focus so much on the result, like I'm sure the Khabibs and the George St. Pierre's did, like, and they were like, wow, I might have won, but I still wasn't doing my absolute highest performance that night. They were still able to fix those problems even without any losses. So maybe that's their case. I don't know. I haven't talked to any of them, but I think that that's more likely the case than it is like, oh, they have something about them. It's like, nah, man, everyone is, you know, skin, blood, and a brain. And like, you're, as much as we like to think that there's something super special about these like people that reign and stuff, I don't think that there is. If there's anything that's special about them, it's just that they know how to learn and they know how to fix problems before they become problems.
How much, like percentage wise, how much does luck come into to the equation?
Uh, Luck or timing? I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
that's a good question. You know, some things I think are timing. Uh, where like, hey, this person learned this before you, and you needed to learn this lesson beforehand. And it's like, but they had that part figured out before, you know. And then, so I don't know. Yeah, luck's a tricky word. I'm not too sure how I feel about luck. Uh I haven't had any moments where I'm like, oh, that's what luck is, you know.
Well, yeah, you're right. Timing. I think that's the better word for that. Timing. Now, UFC Fight Island, 4 month turnaround. It must feel good since the last time you waited 10 months to fight.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, really excited about the matchup too. I was curious if the UFC was going to go one direction or the other. I thought that they were either going to be like, Cory screwed that up. So like, let's just, you know, we're gonna give him someone kind of down the ranks, or they were gonna give me like Marlon because Marlon didn't have anyone to fight, and I'm glad that they gave me Marlon, and I'm excited about the opportunity to challenge myself against someone like that, and I'm excited that the UFC I feel like is still kind of giving me an opportunity to show on a really big stage that I do have some skills and that I can compete with all of these guys.
Before you signed to fight Marlon, there was like Dominic Cruz, Frankie Edgar, Jose. Man, it's so stacked and it's full of
Yeah,
legends too, man. It's like there's no fight you could go wrong with, right?
yeah, exactly. And it's a weird thing, man. Like when you lose, especially if you don't lose a lot, which is most of the guys in the UFC, you know, like you think that it's kind of like the end of things, and that like all of this wasn't worth it, and all of my opportunities are lost now, and now I got to build from the bottom again, and it's like that's not the case. Like my first loss I had as a professional, I won two more fights and then got signed to the UFC, where I thought that that was the most devastating thing that could have happened in my career, and then same with the last one. It's like I had a really embarrassing loss, and it was pretty pathetic my performance, and they're gonna, you know, they're just gonna throw me off to the side, and now I get to main event on Fight Island against the number one guy. So it's like, uh, especially now in the division, and like I'm not feeding this to my brain, but like win or lose, I'm probably still in a really good spot. You know, like there's plenty of really good guys to fight, and I haven't thought about it too much, but I mean after this one, who knows? You know, like there, like you said, man, there's so many really good guys, and it's really cool to be a part of it.
Yeah, and the guys, I think they want to fight you. You know what I mean? Like I think guys, even like Dominic Cruz, he wants to fight you. And we talked about this before in the past. Like that's something that you would like.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I feel more or less prepared to, or more prepared than I have felt before. Um, Progressing towards a championship belt, you know, like you always kind of say that to yourself, and then you learn something really big about yourself, like how I learned in my last fight, and then you're like, oh, that was probably what I needed, you know. And there's probably a bunch of like secrets and things like that that I still don't know, or there definitely are that that will still change my game in huge ways also. But I mean, yeah, I love all of those fights. You know, like who is it? It's like the four. I don't want to call them older guys because they're definitely not old guys. But I mean, you have the guys that have been around for a long time and like crushed it for a long time. TJ, Frankie, Aldo, and Cruz. Like all of those guys are still in the roster, and like that's pretty crazy. You know, like that's a pretty crazy feeling.
Definitely. Now with Marlon, you know, I mean, he's powerful, smart guy, athletic. You know, what else do you believe is unique about him?
I think Marlon, after watching Marlon, always gets better. You know, like obviously I've had some time to sit and watch his fights, and the guy gets better every time. You know, like you could tell that he has good coaching and that he listens to his coaches. And the guy gets better every time, and he hasn't fought in a really long time. So I'm going in with the no expectation where Marlon could be a completely different version of Marlon this go around because I know that based off of his previous fights, he's one of those guys that is constantly learning and constantly getting better, and that's what I'm expecting because I think it's been what like 18 months since he's fought. Yeah, like a year, 2 years. Yeah, so I'm not expecting Marlon to be the Marlon that fought Aldo last.
This is the first time I think you're heading into a 25-minute fight, man. Any changes you make to get yourself ready?
Yeah, a lot more hard sparring. It's crazy because like you still do more rounds than three, obviously, when you go into your sparring sessions, but like just upping it in the sparring session, so doing like twice as many rounds as you would normally do, gets you a lot tougher and just kind of grittier and like today is going to suck. It's not like, oh, maybe today is going to suck. It's like today is going to suck. And then so like kind of embracing that and then that will make you tough after a couple months of that, like four out of the 7 days. Not that we're sparring that many days, but like usually that's how many hard days I have. Like when 4 out of the 7 days of the week are gonna suck for 2 months, you do that for 2 months, like you get a lot tougher. So that's been really fun. Like I feel grittier. I feel a lot tougher than I have in the past. So yeah, getting ready for 5 rounds has actually been like it's fun. It's fun to feel tough.
Do you bring in anybody to emulate Marlon, or do you not really worry about that too much?
We have a few guys, man. It's a little bit trickier because at our gym, obviously, we have like a very footwork based style. But Marlon moves his feet pretty good, so I didn't fly anyone in or anything. We have a few guys that move actually a lot like him. Um, we do our best, but I'm not. We have enough guys on the team where usually I can get a really good look for whoever we're gonna fight.
Do you see any parallels in this fight and the fight with John Lineker? You know, shorter, compact guys, lots of power, swing hard.
Sure. I think definitely some similarities. Also some differences. I think Lineker takes the shot a lot better. And I think that Marlon mixes up his striking a lot more. Um, so that will be different. Like with Lineker, it was like, all right, just keep your hands by your ears and keep your elbows in by your body, and he's probably not going to throw anything straight. Where like with Marlon, it's like I need to be a little bit more dynamic with the way that I'm going to defend myself. So definitely differences there, but also I think I knew going into the Lineker fight, I was like, I'm not going to try to knock this guy out. Like if the people that haven't in the past can't, like I'm probably not going to be able to. So that was also, I think, something that's different about Marlon. Also, Marlon's shown that he can get hurt in fights, and so I would say that those are the two differences. But I would argue that yeah, there's a lot of similarities between those two.
Being the main event, and facing Marlon, who's the number one guy, do you feel like there is more importance in this fight compared to even your last fight?
Yeah, I mean that's how I feel. I don't think that that's a reality. But I mean, of course, you feel that way. Like, or of course, I feel that way where it's like, it feels like there should be more pressure. It feels like, oh, this is the main event. Oh, this is the number one guy. Oh, this is, uh, uh, a really tough opponent who I think is one of the better guys in the UFC. So of course, all of those things are in your head, you know, but I don't like to feed them. I just, you know, it's another fight where I'm gonna do my best, and that's about it, you know.
You know, fighters always say like, "Oh, I'm about to make a statement in this fight," but I believe like the biggest statement you can make is always off the loss. You know what I mean? Not like when you're on a winning streak. Do you believe that way?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, when you lose, man, it really hurts, you know. Like, it makes you question a lot of things, and it sucks, and like you don't want to feel that again. You know, it's just like any type of physical pain. It's like you put your hand on the oven, like you know that that's going to hurt, so you don't want that to happen again, so you don't put your hand on the oven. So it's like it's very similar in fighting too, where it's like I don't want to feel those things again, you know, but I know that there is a chance that that might play out that way, you know, but so there's that added little, you know, demon inside your head, if that's what you want to call it, or little ego inside your head that wants to tell you like, oh, this is, you know, like you could feel this way again, but it's like, yeah, but you're not real, and like eventually you go away anyways. So it's like there's a little bit added pressure, but like I said, it's all pretend. You know, we all just it's just a perception thing.
So, you know, what are you expecting out of yourself in this fight? What performance? What type of performance?
I'm going to one be a lot more intense than I was before, or at least not before, or maybe not before, but in the last one. So I'll definitely bring a lot more intensity, which will obviously add to being better technically. But I don't know, man. Like it was kind of a bummer because the last time, like you said, like I fought before that one was 10 months ago, and I had learned a lot, and I had added a lot of things to my game in those 10 months that I didn't get to show. So I think that this will be a really fun opportunity for me to be like, hey, I know that that last one didn't go as great, but I did actually get better in that amount of time. So just kind of the new things that I've been working on for like the last year and 2 months, you know, which is a lot because I'm in the gym a lot.
All right, man. Well, October 10th, man, UFC Fight Island, the main event, man. It's going to be a great fight, great matchup. And like you said, opportunities come and you just got to take advantage of it. Let's do it, man. Thank you so much, Cory.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. Thanks for having me on.
Hey guys, Sasha Platnikoff here, letting you know to tune in to SCMP Post Fight for all your weekly martial arts news.